Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be working on this PlayStation 5. This has been sent in because it's yet another victim of a lightning strike. So what I mean by that is that this console was apparently working absolutely fine until the night of a thunderstorm, and then something must have happened and now the console doesn't turn on. So the customer put this down to a lightning strike damage console. This is pretty common, to be honest, and it's something I see quite often, more often than you'd think. So what tends to happen is if you get, for example, thunder and lightning and you've got devices like this plugged in, if you've got a house with old wiring, for example, where you don't have any surge protectors, or if you've got an antenna on the top of your roof, which is the case with a lot of houses in the UK these days, basically what can happen is lightning can either hit the substation or it can hit the house itself, you know, through the antenna or something like that. And if you don't, for example, have a lightning rod attached to the roof, to the building, an earth rod attached to the building, it can travel through the wiring in your house and into the console. It can also travel through, for example, the TV and through the HDMI circuit, and it can also travel through the modem into the Ethernet circuit and stuff like that, and cause damage to the main board that way as well. So it's a fairly common thing. One thing I can recommend to maybe prevent this is if you don't have a surge protector installed in the house. A lot of new wiring, electrical installations. In fact, I think by law you're supposed to have a surge protector in the house now in the UK. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an electrician, but if you don't have a surge protector, if you've got old wiring and you know you don't have any surge protection or anything like that, just buy one of the plug-in surge protectors and just plug in, for example, your TV and your modem and your games consoles. Just plug those in. That's all you need to plug in, really, and that will protect it from happening, or it should protect it from happening. You're not going to be able to completely protect it, but it'll give you at least an extra layer of protection on top of, whatever's apparently built into the console, which is nothing, by the way. So anyway, we're going to try and fix that today. But if you are new to the channel, my name is Hakko. I'm an electronics technician. I mainly work on games consoles, but I do work on other stuff as well. In fact, I've actually got a MacBook and an iPad coming up right after this one. So if that's the sort of stuff you're into, be sure to get subscribed and turn on the bell notifications, and that way you don't miss any future videos. Turns out around about 60% of people who watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you could just hit that button, it's completely free. And also give the video a thumbs up and give me a comment as well to let me know what you think, because it all helps the algorithm and it helps YouTube to push these videos and teach a wider audience to repair their own devices. If you want to organise a repair, you can get in touch with me at www.thecoder.repair. The coder is spelled the same way as here on YouTube, so just head over to the website. You can get in touch by sending me an email. You can request a quote by filling out the short form, or you can book the console in and send it over to me, and I'll do my best to repair it for you as well. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. This is the 6th take I've done on this intro, by the way. 6 takes, because I keep fumbling my freaking words. Today's video is sponsored by PCBWay. Whether you've got a simple project that requires a quick mod board, or you want to launch your own products to the world, PCBWay can help. With fantastic pricing on multi-layer PCBs, flex PCBs, 3D printing and even laser cutting solutions, you're sure to get everything you need all in one place. Custom PCBs start from just $5 for a 1 to 2 layer board with a fast 24-hour build time and free shipping on orders over $30. PCBWay are also proud to announce their new aluminium PCBs, which start at just $120 per square metre. Check out what PCBWay have to offer by clicking on the link in the video description or the top pinned comment and get your project started today. Thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring the video. Let's get back to the repair. Alright, anyway, so let's just have a look at this then. So first thing I'm going to do is just plug this in and just see what the deal is. Okay, we've got no sign of life at all by the look of it. So I'll get this apart then. What I'm going to do, this is a digital PS5, by the way. The model number for this is going to be 1016B, and I have a feeling that this has been dropped and I'm being lied to, or it's been damaged in transit. I don't know. Anyway, it's never been opened. The warranty sticker is still intact, and by the feel of that, yep, that's an original warranty sticker. Okay, cool. So No, I don't think I'm being lied to. That's got to have been damaged in transit, but it's not going to hurt the console to have that clip broken, but I can let the customer know if I'm able to actually fix it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this apart. I'm not going to make you sit there and watch through this, but if you do need to see a teardown guide, not sponsored, because iFixit are spiteful little bar stools. I said bar stools, YouTube, don't demonetise me. iFixit are very spiteful and they won't sponsor me. So, I'm just going to have to shit them for free. No, on a serious note, if you do want to see a teardown, if you do need to know how to take these apart, they are fairly simple, but iFixit do have some very useful guides on their website, so just search Google for them and you'll find them. But I'll skip through this. I am going to leave it plugged in, because when I get inside it, I want to test straight away for voltage rails, so I'm trying to save myself a little bit of time. Okay, 61 completely unnecessary screws later, we're inside the console. So the first thing I'm going to be doing on this is just checking the power supply itself and just seeing if we get 12 volts on the PSU. So a lot of the time it'll fry the power supply, and basically just replacing that will be sufficient. And obviously you can repair the power supply as well, but a lot of the time it's easier just to replace it. If it was the power supply, I'd probably have a look at it just to try and fix it, but you know, just for the sake of the video. But hopefully it's something a bit more interesting than a power supply. Yeah, we have absolutely nothing on the power supply at all. 0 volts. Okay, so absolutely nothing on the power supply. Now, here's the problem. It still might not be the power supply. So it could be a short on the 12 volt line pulling the power rail down. So I'm going to remove the motherboard completely. It's got to be taken out anyway, because no matter what, we'd be at least servicing this before we continue, or before we put it back together. So I'm just going to have a quick look, and the one place I'm looking really is around the Ethernet port. Obviously, if we've had a power surge come through the Ethernet port, then we most of the time going to see signs at the back here. We're going to see some burn marks there, and that would kill the south bridge, because the Ethernet comes in here, it goes through these filters here, and then it goes across here to these traces right there, which you can actually see, and then into the south bridge right there, and that kills the south bridge because it sends, you know, like thousands of volts through to the south bridge. But yeah, that doesn't look like it's the case there, but I will obviously do some more tests in a minute. Let's just test the power supply. Nope, we get nothing off the power supply at all. That power supply is completely dead. So it's going to be a case of replacing the power supply, but I will open it up and have a look and see what we can do. See if we can figure out what's gone on it. Okay, so there's the power supply accessible. I'll just pop the case out of the way for a minute, and I'm going to go inside the power supply. I am going to say right now, working with power supplies is very, very dangerous, and if you, for example, have a underlying heart condition, it can cause some not so pleasant effects that you probably do not want to experience. Okay, so if you have any underlying heart condition, or if you might have any underlying heart condition, stay well away from power supplies, because they are dangerous. I am going to say as well, I am not going to be responsible if you use this video as a guide and you end up hurting yourself. But if you do hurt yourself, make sure that you at least get it on video so I can laugh my ass off. Just a little heads up there. Anything you see me do with power supplies, it should not be taken seriously. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do not sue me. That's the TLDR, basically. Another thing you shouldn't do is use a metal pry tool to open a power supply. But I know this one's dead. It's got nothing going through it. So yeah. And that's on me. If I hurt myself, that's on me. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out what's happening with this PSU. So the first thing I'm going to do, and you'll notice I'm going to handle this, even though there shouldn't be anything in this, I'm going to handle this by the edges, where it's not going to cause me to give myself a shock. But what I'm going to do, first and foremost, is I'm just going to check this power supply by plugging it in, and be very, very careful here, because that right there, ladies and gents, is 240 volts, or whatever you have in your country, okay? Just be incredibly careful. That is live voltage. Regardless of whether this power supply works or not, that right there is live, okay? Keep well away. And yep, that is absolutely dead. So let's just test these big capacitors. And yeah, even though this power supply is dead, 326 volts. That is actually very low. But I know this one's dead. It shouldn't be that low. It should be much higher than that. It should be around about 400 to 420 volts. But 326 volts. You can see that on the screen, just up here. 320 volts. That is not something to play around with. So I know 100% right now that the fuse right there is good, okay? So basically this fuse right here has got 230 volts going through it. I don't want to be touching that at all. I don't want to be messing around with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug that, and I'm going to watch and wait. And yes, I know I can get a bleed resistor and stuff, but I'm going to watch and wait for the power supply to drain. But as you can see here, that's actually climbed 329 volts, and that's unplugged, okay? Which is why you should be very, very careful when messing with power supplies, because even though the power supply has been unplugged, that does not mean that there's not going to be any voltage on the power supply. These are very, very high powered, okay? And they are going to cause you serious injury if you've got underlying heart conditions and you get a shock from them. So I'm going to wait for that to drain before I go any further. So while I wait for this to actually drain, because it's been about 10 minutes and we're still on 307 volts. So while I wait for this to drain, I'm going to move it out of the way. I'm going to completely get rid of it for a little while. And I'm actually going to test the console with another power supply, with a known good power supply. So I've put that power supply well out the way, and I've got one here. This is obviously a used power supply, but it is a genuine power supply, and it should be working. So I just want to test and make sure that this is the only issue we're dealing with here. So I'll plug this power supply in, and I'll sell these on my online store, consolefix.shop, if you want to buy them. Yep, we get 12 volts on there, as you can see. So that one is working absolutely fine. So what I can do, I'm probably not going to fix that power supply for the customer anyway, because I am not a power supply technician. I'll mess around with them just for fun, but I'm probably not going to fix it, and it's not going to be worth my time to fix it. By the time I put parts into it, for example, the transistors and the DAP IC and stuff that's on there, it's not really going to be worth fixing. Not when I can just replace the power supply and be done with it. So I've given that case a clean, and now I'm just going to pop a new power supply in here. Well, once I put an antenna on it, I forgot about that. I'm going to pop a new power supply in here, or a replacement power supply rather, and I'm going to get this console reassembled. Okie dokie, so we're good to go there. Just got to get the heatsink on so as it doesn't overheat on me. And let's hope we've got nothing else wrong. You didn't see me drop my screwdriver. Okay, okay. Moment of truth. Is it going to turn on? Yeah, buddy. Of course it's going to turn on. So that power supply is definitely faulty. And this console, hopefully, is fixed. I say hopefully because we still could have issues. So I'm going to plug in CV cable. Or rather, well, this is a monitor cable, but yeah, same thing. Tomato, tomato. And I did just get a triple beep as it's booted up, which means that obviously it didn't shut down properly. So there's a PlayStation on the screen right there. And this console is fixed. Or at least it should be. The display's working. It's turning on, obviously. So yeah, I just need to get a controller tested, get a controller connected up, and I can test all of the other functionality on the console itself. And then I might get to checking out the power supply once it's finally drained all the power. Okay, so I'm going to sync this. There we go, that does sync. I'm sure you can hear that in the background. I'm just going to disable HDCP and then I can connect it up to the capture card. And 4K is working on this as well, so that's good news. Okay, there's HDCP disabled, which means now I can connect it up to the capture card and it should display on the screen. Okay, let's just check the console info. We're running 9.6. Okay, let's check network. Set up internet. Connect to my guest network. Yep, that's working. I also want to check the Ethernet, so I'm going to plug one in. Wired LAN, connect. And yep, that's working as well. So this is running 9.6, so I don't know if it's going to be worth updating. The problem is there are a lot of exploits and stuff coming out, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to update this to actually test gameplay. Let's just make sure we've got no 108.262s. July it looks like the last time this was used. We do have a 108.255, but that's just normally software corruption. Or at least 108.255-1 is normally software corruption, so that's fine. Yeah, random sporadic 255s. I'm not worried about that. Okay, yeah, cool. Right, just need to do a few more tests on this and then we're done with it. So one of the tests I need to do with this is just make sure that the fan spins, because that can be affected. It's connected to the south bridge. I'll give that a second because I did hold it still. It should spin up any second now. Come on, there we go. Yeah, okay, so the fan's spinning and it's working absolutely fine. And obviously I do need to test the USB ports on the back as well. So the way I'll test them is just by plugging these in. This USB dongle. So let's just have a look here. Yep, so that's working in that one. I'm going to plug it into the other port. So I'll plug it into this one just here. Should pick up. There we go. Okay, yep, that's working. And then I'm going to also plug it in to this port here as well. There we go. Cool, it's working. So the main console is fixed. Obviously, I've still got to put the screws and stuff back in, but that is working. The power supply for these, I think, let me just double check actually. Yeah, the power supply for these are £65 on my online store. So you can buy these off me. I do have brand new power supplies, but it really just depends on what stock I've got available at the time. But they are genuine working power supplies. They do obviously come from the same factory that Sony use. Obviously, we just source them from different places. But they are genuine power supplies, and you know, if I haven't got brand new ones, I do fully test it, and I still give a 3-month warranty on them anyway. So yeah, £65 for those on my online store, consolefix.shop, and then I'll also charge £45 for a diagnostic and fitting fee as well. So that will be £110 quick math to repair this console. Obviously, if I was to sit there and try and fault find this one, you know, it could take me an hour to fault find it, right? And by the way, I'm still holding it by the edge of the PCB because I don't want to get a shock. So yeah, for the sake of this video, I will just have a quick look around and see if I can see anything out of out of the ordinary, anything obvious. But in terms of the power supply, it's really not worth me trying to fix it because, number one, I don't trust them. I did actually do a power supply repair on a TV for a friend of mine this afternoon. Didn't do a video on it, but I did fix a power supply on a TV. That was fairly straightforward, a blown capacitor and a blown fuse. But yeah, I don't trust them to the point where I would give them to a customer. Obviously, the power supplies that I've got that haven't been worked on, the brand new ones or the second-hand ones, I do trust those. But I'm not a power supply technician, so I wouldn't fix a console by fixing the power supply and then sending it back to the customer. I'd fix it and then use it for a test supply, or sometimes I'll give them to friends on Discord if they need one. You know, if I've got one spare, I'll just give them a test power supply and just say, right, I'll fix this one, use it at your own risk sort of thing. But yeah, basically I won't put it back inside the console and put it back into commission because I just don't trust it enough to be able to know 100% that it's not going to cause any issues. But for the sake of the video, let's have a look at it just to keep it interesting. So I'm just shutting this down. Obviously, I will give it a full stress test off camera. You know, I've got to put it back together, and I've also got to give it a full stress test, make sure it doesn't overheat, make sure it doesn't give me any errors, you know, any 108.262 errors or anything like that. And yeah, we'll be good to go. But I think this console is working. I'll say I think it is working. Anyway, let's just check this power supply. Let's just see what kind of voltage we've got in here now. It's been around about 40 minutes. Still 252 volts. And this is what I mean. They are really not safe to work on. They are very dangerous. I am going to just pop it under the microscope. I'll just pop it under the microscope and I'll just move the actual microscope around. I think I see some damage. Do I see some damage on this? I think it's a thermistor. Maybe. I've got to be careful because there is a capacitor just there and it is one of the high voltage caps. Can't tell if that thermistor's damaged or not. No, I think it's just where the leg is. Never mind. Okay. Alright, ignore that. So let's just have a quick look around. I'm looking for any kind of burnt components, you know, any signs of anything blown or anything like that. I really should not be looking around this while there's still power going through it though. Look on the transistors, can't see anything. Can't see anything on there. Spin it around. So I'm looking around here and I'm not seeing any sign of a damaged component at all. So I wonder why this has failed. So this chip here, this DAP 053 chip, it could be that. It could be these transistors here. I think these are actually diodes, not transistors. And then these are the transistors. Yeah, so Q3 and Q4 there. Oh, actually, no, Q5 and Q6. Alright, never mind. I don't know. Some of them could be, I think one of them might be a diode and one of them is a transistor. Maybe. Yeah, I think this one here is a diode. So the problem I've got right now is that there's still power going through this board. So I really recommend you do not try this at home, but I want to test these transistors, so I'm going to skip to the good bit and short out this capacitor, because I don't have a bleed resistor. Bang! Oh, that deafened me. Whew! Anyway. Do not try that at home. Do not try that at home, please. Oh, that deafened me. Whew. Imagine touching that with your tongue. Bang! Dead. Anyway, that was fun. I used this. It's insulated, so I wasn't at risk of shocking myself. But I'll show you what it did to that in a minute. And there's still 70 volts in it. Now it's safe. Alright, so I'm going to go into diode mode and I'm going to test these transistors. Well, I'm going to test the diode first. Whoops. Okay, so we've got 0.37 volts on the diode. That way. And open line that way. So the diode is fine. I'll pop under the scope actually. So this is the one I was testing, where it says C14 there. So C14 there corresponds to this here. It's a bit blurred obviously because it's tilted, but that there is D11. So I believe that's a diode, as far as I know. Like I said, I'm not a power supply technician. The one next to it, if I get this back in focus, the one next to it, so it was these two pins here that I was testing. So this one and this one, and we get 0.37 volt drop to ground. That is absolutely fine. We get 0.65 there, open line there, 0.44 there, open line there, open line there. So that transistor appears to be absolutely fine. And then we've got a couple more just here. 2.68, 0.46, 0.24. I don't know if that's normal. 0.65 open. 2.5. 2.5. I think that's normal. 0.46. Yeah, I think that's normal. And then we just got the primary and secondary transformer. I think this could probably be the DAP IC and or the octocouplers. So very often on these, this IC here and these octocouplers here will fail, and that will basically cause it to not turn on. Same as this DAS01B. But unfortunately I don't have any to hand right now. The one other thing I can do is just connect this back up to the mains. and just basically see if the DAP IC gets hot. And if it does, then it's probably failed. I don't have any immediately to hand that I know are good, but yeah, the transistors are testing fine, the capacitors testing fine, the diodes are testing fine. Honestly, I'm not really sure what else it could be. Like I said, I'm not a power supply technician, so I don't really know what else it could be. Let's just plug this back in. There we are. So remember, that is live again now, and we now have full power back on these capacitors. As you can see, 325 volts. I'm pretty sure that is too low though. I could be wrong. But anyway, very, very carefully turn this around. And I'm going to use my thermal camera. And yeah, straight away that DAP IC gets very, very hot. Immediately, the DAP IC is what's sticking out to me. As you can see right there. So with the macro lens on, you can really see it sticks out like a sore thumb, right? And by the look of it, that's all that's really getting hot. That's just reflections from the ground plane. Let's very carefully spin this back around. And yeah, the only heat coming from this is on that DAP IC. I do sell these on my online store, by the way. I have got the DAP ICs in stock. I'm just going to remove this. I do need to be careful with this because these boards are very, very thin, and I've also still got power in these capacitors. So I do need to be careful. Okay, did I damage some traces there, or were they already damaged? I think I damaged them. Oh well, it doesn't matter. It did lift a trace, but these traces are not the best. Okay, so I've just tinned those pads. I'm going to pull a DAP IC from a donor board. Like I said, I do have these brand new, but not to hand. They're in my other workshop. Solder that. I'm going to add a little bit of flux. Just a tad. There we are. A little bit of IPA. There we go. Alright, so if it has knocked out some more components, I'm just going to give up on it because it's not really worth my time to fix it. To be honest, I'd normally just save these up and then sell them off as a job lot, as faulty, because I just really cannot be bothered with fixing them most of the time. Do we get any power on here now? No, we do not. Of course we don't. Why would we? Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not going to be carrying on with this power supply because I'm not a power supply technician. It's probably taken out the optocouplers or maybe one of the smaller ICs. I know it takes out this IC just here. It's safe to touch this one, by the way. This hasn't been plugged in for several months. But it normally takes out this IC here or this IC here as well. So yeah, by the time you've actually replaced half the ICs on it, it's not really worth fixing them, to be honest, because obviously, you know, you've got to pay for the ICs somewhere, and I could just replace it for the customer. I'm going to charge them the same amount anyway, and then I can just sell those as spares on eBay or strip them down for parts, you know, take the transistors off them and stuff like that, which I am actually going to start doing. I'm going to strip all of the transistors and the big capacitors and stuff off these and sell them on. Obviously test them and stuff like that first, but yeah, sell them on, and yeah, people can make use of them. So anyway, the main console issue is repaired. It was nice and simple. It was just a power supply issue. But obviously, you know, I'm not a power supply technician. I do have a few friends who do repair to power supplies, but I don't repair power supplies. So obviously, I'll just replace it. So yeah, call me a part swapper, but it is what it is. Sorry it wasn't a bit more interesting. Sorry it wasn't something like a SafeBridge failure or something like that. I'm sure the customer's not sorry though. And yeah, at least we managed to get it working for the customer. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. If you do need to organise a repair, you can get in touch at www.thecodat.repair. And if you do need to buy parts and supplies, you can get them from my online store, consolefix.shop. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe as well. You can check out some videos early on Patreon by visiting the link in the video description. And if you want to buy this thermal camera or any of the other stuff that I use in my videos, there'll be links to that in the video description as well. Highly recommend this thermal camera. Not sponsored, but I highly recommend it. Very, very useful piece of kit. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye for now. Why have I still got trees in my hand? Ah. Maybe he's trying to tell me something. Take care, everyone. See you later. It's so much fun. Don't try it at home. It is fun though.